Hello, dear ANA community. What do you mean by Doshakopa? What do you mean by Svatantra and Paratantra Doshakopa? What do you mean by Anubandhya and Anubandha Dosha? What is the interaction or interrelation between Svatantra and Anubandhya Dosha and Paratantra and Anubandha Dosha? What is its application in the present era in terms of conventional understanding, etc.? We are going to learn in this particular video. Dear ANA community, subscribe this particular channel and spread this particular video to maximum number of true Nidana learners so that we can get a deep dive understanding in Roga Nidana fundamentals, their application in terms of physics, chemistry and biology with accurate information, with accurate understanding. The term Svatantra and Paratantra Doshakopa refers to independent and dependent dosha vitiation happening in the body. When you think about the description of Svatantra Doshakopa, it is being available in Ashtanga Hridaya Sutrasthana, chapter number 12, 61st shloka. It is being mentioned there, Atha Swatantran Lakshyati Yatha Swajanma Upashayaha Swatantraha Spashtalakshanaha. So here the Svatantra Doshakopa, they are having the three key features: Swajanma, Swa Upashaya and Spashta Lakshana. That is the Swatantra or independent Doshakopa. So that will be considered to be Swajanma. So that means they are independent of the dosha vitiation. So that means if the person is having the Ruksha Ahara, naturally, so that will be responsible for the Vata Dosha Prakopa. In that way, independently, that is mainly related with the Nidana Sevana as such. Upashayaha, if the person is having the Vata Dosha Prakopa, if you are giving the administration of Snigdha, etc., so that will be responsible for the submission or remission of the symptoms of Vata Dosha Prakopa. And Spashta Lakshana, very clear-cut manifestations are observed in case of Svatantra Doshakopa. So here the example given here, that is Purarupadi Jvaradau Utpanne Tatparivara E Shwasadaya Utpadyante Tadupashaye Upasherate Nate Swatantraha. In the sense, so that is the Purva, that is in case of the person suffering from Jvara, there may be a possibility of Kasa, Shwasa, etc. In that particular situation, the Jvara is considered to be Pradhana, that is the Swatantra Vikara or Swatantra Doshakopa, whereas Shwasa, etc., they are depending upon this, the main disease, that is Jvara, they are considered to be Paratantra. So the main characters of this Swatantra Vikara are, they are independent dosha vitiation, that is they are directly connected with the Nidana aspect, and manifestation of the progression of the disease can be predicted properly, and remission of the symptoms can be done as per mentioned in the text as such, and very clear cut manifestation of lakshana that can be observed in the individuals. That is what we can say Svatantra Doshakopa as such. Whereas the Paratantra Doshakopa, wherein the Paratantra Doshakopa, they are considered to be dependent upon the Svatantra Dosha, and they are not having the Spashta Lakshana. They are unclear Lakshana that may be observed in that particular situation, and the manifestation of the disease, they depend upon the primary disease, and the submission of the symptoms or the remission of the symptoms of a Paratantra Doshakopa, they are again depending upon the Svatantra Dosha as such. The same description is available in the context of the Charaka Samhita, in the context of Anubandhya and Anubandha Dosha. The term Anubandhya Dosha refers to Svatantra Doshakopa, whereas Anubandha Dosha refers to Paratantra Doshakopa. So here that is being mentioned in Charaka Samhita, Swatantro Vyaktalingo va yatokta samutthanopashamo bhavati Anubandhyah tad viparita lakshanastu Anubandhah. So that is Swatantro, independent dosha vitiation, Vyaktalingo va, that is clearly manifested lakshana, yatokta samutthana shamo bhavati, that is yatokta samutthana, that is as mentioned in the text, Nidana and Chikitsa, they are going to benefit this Swatantra Anubandhya Vikara. That means there will be remission of the symptoms as such. Whereas the Anubandha Vikara, they are mainly depending upon the Swatantra Vikara. Ayathokta Samutthana Prashamo. So that is the Anubandha Vikara, they are not having their own Nidana and Prashamana. They are mainly depending upon the Swatantra Vikara as such, and they are having the Avyakta Lakshana, unclear Lakshana that may be observed. So the example here, Yatha Sharadi Shleshma Pitta Hetuna Jaladi Amla Vipakena Janyate Sacha Pitta Chikitsaya Eva Pittikta Sarpiradikaya Kafe Api Anugunataya Shamyate. So here the person who is in case of a Sharad Ritu, there will be Pitta Dosha Visheshan naturally. But when the person is going to consume Jala etc., because of its Amla Vipaka, there will be the Kapha Dosha Prakopa may take place. And in that particular situation, if you are giving the Pitta Prakopa Chikitsa, such as Tikta Sarpi etc., so that will be responsible for the remission of the vitiated Kapha Dosha itself. This is what is considered to be the Anubandha or the Paratantra Dosha as such. Let us learn with a few examples. Mr. X, suppose he is having this particular exposure for a period of 2 days. The first day he has taken 4 plates of gobi Manchurian. Along with that, he is taking 1 cup of the curds as such. When you analyze the gunas as such, when a person is continuously consuming the gobi Manchurian, there may be a possibility of increase of Snigdha guna, increase of Ushna guna, increase of Tikshna guna, increase of the Amla and Lavana may be there. So which are considered to be responsible for the increase of the Pitta. Whereas the Amla and Lavana Rasa, there may be a possibility of increase of Kapha Dosha a little bit lesser extent. Whereas the consumption of Katu Rasa as such, so that may be responsible for the increase of Pitta and Vata Dosha. So in that way, so the consumption of this gobi Manchurian as such, that may be responsible for the increase of the Pitta in the Mahasrotas as such. Whereas the Katu Rasa as such, that may be responsible for the increase of Pitta and Vata Dosha. Along with that, when the person is consuming the Dadhi or curds, there may be a possibility of increase of Guru Guna in the body, Shita Guna in the body, Manda Guna in the body, Shlakshna Guna in the body, and Madhura Rasa increase in the body as such. So in that way, there may be a possibility of abnormal increase of Kapha Dosha as such in this particular situation. Suppose if the curds is having the sour taste, in that particular situation, there may be a possibility of Snigdha and Amla Rasatva to be increased in that particular curds. In the former instance, there may be a possibility of Kapha Dosha Prakopa there, whereas in the latter instance, there may be a possibility of Kapha and Pitta Dosha vitiation. When you think about all these examples together, the Pradhana Dosha vitiation in this particular situation could be Pitta, whereas the Anubandha Dosha, it could be here Kapha, and even much lesser extent, there may be a possibility of Vata Dosha Prakopa. So here, if you are giving the treatment for Pitta, there may be a possibility of the remission of the symptoms in cases of the Kapha dosha here. Whereas, second example, let us take Miss Y going to consume the 4 plates of gobi Manchurian, and along with that she is going to do 30 minutes of exercise as such. In that particular situation, so as such, that is what we have discussed: snigdha, ushna, tikshna, amla, lavana, etc. that is going to get increased naturally. So this may be responsible for the increase of pitta dosha in the body. Plus katu rasa, as such there may be a possibility of increase of pitta and vata dosha in the body. But the second nidana here, that is exercise, that is the vyayama she is doing, in that particular situation there may be a possibility of increase of ruksha, laghu, khara, sukshma and chala in the body. So in that particular situation there may be a possibility of increase of ushna guna too, because of the increased, what do you say, that the burning of the nutrients as such, that is responsible for the generation of heat, responsible for the increase of the pitta dosha in the body. In this particular example, the pradhana dosha vitiation could be pitta and anubandha dosha could be vata. As far as the decoding the Svatantra and Paratantra dosha in terms of the amla rasa, let us take the 3 examples. First example, it is having the unripe mango. Second example, unripe mango with red chili and salt. Whereas the third example, that is having the amla and madhura rasa yukta orange. Whereas the unripe mango, so that is having the abundant amla rasatva. So that means the tejo mahabhuta will be more. When you think about the amla rasa as such, whereas prithvi mahabhuta as such, that will be comparatively less in this particular situation. How this particular description of Pancha Mahabhuta and its relation is being derived, Ashtanga Hridaya Sutrasthana 10th chapter says, Kshmambhog Nikshma Ambuteja Khavayavagnya Nilago Nilai Dvayolbanehi Kramadbhutehi Madhura Dirasodbhava. Based on that particular part, if the Amla Rasa is having the much more, the quantity of Amla Rasatva is more, in that particular situation, Tejo Mahabhuta will be more. In that way, that may be responsible for the increase of the pitta dosha in the body. Whereas the second instance, the person is going to consume katu and amla rasayukta substances. In that particular situation, the katu rasa is having the tejas and vayu mahabhuta dominance, whereas amla rasa is having tejas and prithvi mahabhuta dominance. So here there may be a possibility of increase of the pitta dosha. Later, there may be a possibility of increase of the Vayu or Kapha, depending upon the permutations and combinations of dominance of Katu and Amla Rasa. Third instance, the consumption of, what do you say, that the orange, which is having Amla and Madhura Rasa. In that particular situation, the Amla Rasa, that is having Tejas and Prithvi Mahabhuta dominance, whereas Madhura Rasa is having Prithvi and Ap Mahabhuta dominance. And when the person is going to consume the particular fruit as such, there may be a possibility of abnormal increase of kapha dosha, and pitta dosha to a lesser extent there may be a possibility of vitiation. Like that, depending upon the nature of the rasa as such, we can able to predict the Svatantra and Paratantra dosha vitiation. Let us take one more example. So here we are going to take the example of poha or beaten rice or pruthuka. So it is being mentioned that the pruthuka or poha that's having the ruksha guna. In that particular situation, the amount of this particular consumption of this particular food substance, that will be responsible for the increased the amount of the fluid that is moving from intravascular compartment to alimentary canal. Suppose if the person is going to consume 100 grams of what do you say, that the yellow colored poha, that's having the comparatively more amount of the water. When you think about the absolute, the gray colored poha, which is having the less amount of the water as such. And when an individual is consuming the yellowish colored poha, so that may be responsible for the shoshana karma. Shoshana in the sense the movement of the fluid that is going to take place from the intravascular compartment to stomach or small intestine, large intestine. Whereas the grey colored poha, if 100 gram is being consumed, then that may be responsible for the more amount of the fluid that will come from the intravascular compartment to either stomach or small intestine or large intestine. That's how that will be responsible for the increase of the rukshata in the intravascular compartment or interstitial or intracellular compartment. In that way, we can able to understand the Svatantra and Paratantra dosha in terms of the karma as such. To sum up, the term Svatantra and Paratantra Doshakopa refers to the independent and dependent dosha vitiation respectively. It is also being termed as Anubandhya as Svatantra Doshakopa and Anubandha as Paratantra Doshakopa. Its significance lies in determining the sadhya sadhyata of an illness and appropriate management of the disease. Dear ANA community, subscribe this particular channel and put a thumbs up if you are getting the valuable information in this particular video, so that the YouTube takes the algorithm, checks that, so that we can have the better and better content in this particular channel. If you are liking this particular information, then put a thumbs up and write in the comment box what are the major key takeaways in this particular video, and what is the one video that you'd like to hear in this particular channel. Mention in the comment box below and spread this particular video to maximum number of true Nidana learners, so that we can make a huge movement out of this particular small message. That's all for today. Something more in the next video. Thank you.